poor people are denied the equality of justice because justice is costly. If Vibes Cartel didn't have the money, his case wouldn't have gone to the Privy Council. In my view, and this is in the report, which I support, no valid reason exists for maintaining the provisions pertaining to a Commonwealth citizen other than a citizen of Jamaica who is resident for at least 12 months to be eligible for parliamentary office. The qualifications must be based, in my view, on Jamaican citizenship. I don't want to cause any confusion. Citizens of the Commonwealth are at the present time legally entitled to sit in the House or the Senate. I am deliberately confining my remarks to the constitutionality of any such position. Political considerations are well above my grade in the pavilion. It is my considered view that Section 40 should not be confined to parliamentarians, but extended. In my time, there were 2 appointments I had to make. The people disclosed to me that they held citizenship of another country. I told them, not putting any pressure on you, you have a choice. Renounce and stay where you are. Or, if you want to accept this position, because of its sensitivity, you have to renounce. Both, without hesitation, proceeded to renounce and were duly appointed to their positions. There are some positions that I think have to make it clear that allegiance is to Jamaica alone. For example, the Chief of Staff. Otherwise, you're exposing the person to charges of treason. The Permanent Secretary and members of the Defense Board. I raise, without making any proposal, we have to look at questions of persons like the Chief Justice, like the President of the Court of Appeal, like our electoral commissioners and the Director of Elections. All of these require further national scrutiny and discussion and would apply to further appointments as existing conditions of judges cannot be altered to their disadvantage while serving on the bench. I am not moving into the political arena, but I think I have to ground what I have to say by setting out the base on which our democracy rests. The existence and spread of the 2 major political parties since the grant of universal adult suffrage have ensured smooth transition in accordance with successive election results, and we deserve to applaud ourselves for that. It is commendable, but we cannot ignore how tender and delicate is the plant of the Westminster model, where a first-past-the-post system may still allow a majority of seats, but a minority of popular votes. Lopsided parliamentary majorities often conceal the real margin of the popular will, and the more so when we witness a worrying decline in the number of persons who actually exercise the precious franchise. So, there can be a government in office which in fact does not command the support of a majority within the nation. I believe we should seek in the design of our new constitution to foster a participatory democracy. I would dare to suggest that we can begin with a step that entrenches local government, that gives it a more functional role and greater community involvement in several aspects of rural and urban development as they affect our daily lives. Some cases have come to attention recently. There is a case of Lessine Edwards, where he was acquitted by the Privy Council. But you know why he was acquitted? The Privy Council made resources available for them to do a scientific study which was not available in the court here. And one thing we have to understand, poor people are denied the equality of justice because justice is costly. If Vybz Kartel didn't have the money, his case wouldn't have gone to the Privy Council. But his case should not have gone to the Privy Council if we had in place a system that records judgments of our own Court of Appeal. Because if it had, somebody could have looked on those judgments and found that our Court of Appeal here, Zaka and Rowe, with Rocky White dissenting, had decided that once there is any sign of contamination, you must dismiss the entire jury. I am not oblivious to the fact that right now there's a tide because of the judgment or the way the Adijah Palmer appeal was handled. But please note that the same way the Privy Council streams its hearings live, so does the Caribbean Court of Justice. So, 62 years after our independence, it is more than overdue for Jamaica to depend no longer on an order in council to abolish the monarchy and to vest the judicial arm with the full authority to dispense justice for all as we seek to develop a Caribbean jurisprudence. I repeat, our founding fathers envisaged the establishment of a Caribbean court at the apex. It should remain as a settled national position and not be subverted because of political expediency to be a partisan divide. I move now to the matters pertaining to the reform of other aspects of our Constitution. During the 1978 conversations, the PNP was insistent on an executive president chosen by the electorate. The JLP favored a ceremonial head of state appointed by parliamentary procedures. The Carr Commission, by a majority decision after extensive debate, recommended, and I quote, that the formal head of state should not be an active politician and head of government, end of quote. It proposed that the head of state should be appointed on the nomination of the Prime Minister in consultation with the leader of the opposition, subject to confirmation by a 2/3 majority of the members of both houses of Parliament sitting in joint session. This, it felt, would invest the selection with an aura of democratic approval, and the Republican form would replace the monarchical in a manner indicative of our national identity and consciousness of our self-esteem as a nation. I sought during my tenure to move forward to completing the structures of our independence. It was my view that the process towards our self-definition as a people had to be accelerated. The institution of our own indigenous president as head of state in the Republic of Jamaica must now be placed on the front burner of the public agenda. In order to obtain a consensus on these new constitutional arrangements, I sought and obtained at our annual party conference in 2001 permission to accept a ceremonial head.